Welcome, lore sages. The following is a prelude, the mere beginning of a multi-part series on the spellbinding details of the Dead Three, the unholy triad of dark gods that permeate the streets of Baldur's Gate and the history books across all the Forgotten Realms. The volumes that will follow this exordium aim to provide new insights, exacting details, and perhaps even stories never told, sure to enlighten and intrigue even the wisest of lore scholars and historians. So let me regale you with a brief tale, a glimpse into the void to whet your appetite for what is to come. Join me, won't you? In the darkest annals of Baldur's Gate, where shadows whisper of ancient pacts and forgotten sins, a tale lives on, twisted and gnarled as the roots of a cursed tree. A story of mortal evil rising and falling, and then rising again. A fate shrouded in the rolling fog of Baldur's Gate, and fueled by the wild myriad of tavern tales told by many a barstool hero over one too many ales. It is the tale of the Dead Three, also known as the Dark Gods. Three souls, once infamous mortals upon this realm, their very names a lamentation, now a dirge sung by those who still feel their presence, who know the truth. Bane, the relentless adventuring warrior, a tyrant warlord with eyes like smoldering coals, his life ruled by the terror of his iron. His was the fist that crushed, the sword that cleaved. His wrath was a tempest, never satisfied, never still. Bhaal, an assassin of bloody acclaim, silent as the grave, deadly as a viper's kiss. He was the mortal dagger that slipped through the night, the poison that mingled with the wine. He knew the art of death, and his laughter was the final breath of his victims. Myrkul, the wicked necromancer, master of the rotting flesh and the restless dead, a mortal seeking to unlock the secrets of death and rebirth. His growing power was a blight upon the kingdom he once ruled, a corruption that spread through the land and soul alike, a vile tapestry of decay. As mortals, these Dark Three, renowned in their villainous glory, found themselves bound together by a tenuous and self-serving pact, one intertwined in both ambition and distrust. But their pernicious accomplishments could not be denied. As their kill count grew, success after adventuring success, they became emboldened and seemingly unstoppable. Yet they were not fulfilled. Their endless desire for power, an insidious need to subjugate and oppress others, was never sated. Each agreed in their ultimate quest to find godhood or oblivion. No other path laid before them. Together they forged a path of ruin across Faerun, defying death at every turn as they sought to extend their powers, emerging unscathed with every deadly encounter. Their notorious legacy, a trail of suffering, only grew when the Dark Triad led an alliance, 50,000 strong, comprised of artificers, war wizards, Goliath hunters, and brave warriors, successfully defeating an ancient primordial named Miriam of the Great Spear, only to later doom those victorious men through their selfishness or betrayal, a story to be further uncovered. In time, continuing their streak of unimaginable victories, the Dark Three destroyed one of the 7 lost gods of antiquity. Which of the 7 is a matter of speculation and debate among sages and scholars. Some say the 7th god was a primordial like Miriam. Others insist it was Khazif the Chaos Hound, and yet another faction of historians claim the 7th was Dendar the Night Serpent. But regardless of its identification, we do know the Dark Three were able to absorb its essence into their very marrow, empowering their abilities and yet only further stoking the flames of their desire, for godhood still eluded them, their mortal vessels becoming a prison, only serving to impede their divine destinies. And so they agreed to seek and set upon Jurgal, the god of the end of everything, an immortal being as depraved and impious as the void itself. Traveling to the Grey Waste, the Dark Three sought entrance into Jurgal's domain, the Castle of Bone. In an arduous and unholy crusade where death and suffering lay in their wake, the Dark Three reached Jurgal sitting upon a throne made from the bones of the dead. Within this inner sanctum, the eyes of the Dark Three were aflame with desire, their hearts pounding with a lust for power. His power. However, no resistance was met. Jurgal offered to abdicate his power and throne freely, weary of the task, more than willing to step aside, even to guide their transition. But in Jurgal's cryptic smile lay a riddle the Dark Three must now unravel.
Who of you would take this throne and ascend to godhood?
Some say they argued mightily, an altercation of powers raised in a thunderous clash with no end in sight, eventually settling their disputes with games of chance to determine the proper division of Jurgal's portfolio of vulgar powers, and then ultimately the simplicity of Lady Luck, Timora's blessing, to determine each of their domains. Others, however, disagree vehemently on that narrative, proclaiming in both whispers and shouts that this unholy triad did not choose their domains. In fact, the domains chose them, a perfect alignment to their already mortal sins, evil deeds, and wicked proclivities. Either way, tyranny, murder, death. The irreverent trinity was now complete. They were gods, their quest fulfilled, transcendent and vile, spreading their hate and evil throughout the land, building massive cults in their name, and the great harbor city of Baldur's Gate, now the very heart of their obscene and sacrilegious practices and blasphemous goals. That is, until the Year of Shadows, 1358, Dale Reckoning. Precipitated by Bane and Myrkul conspiring to steal the Tablets of Fate from the Supreme Lord Ao, the Overgod cast the two, along with all but one single god, Helm, the guardian god to the gates of heaven, cast down to walk upon the material plane. This event was known as the Time of Troubles. Mortal once more, yet still bearing the deified spark of the dread and divine, they walked the earth, shadows of their former selves, yet still mighty, still feared. However, in time, each met their mortal end, succumbing to a sundry of just forces of fate, each defeat its own separate and grand, history-shaping tale, worthy of its own telling, we shall together soon share. Yet, gods only truly live and die by the power instilled from those who worship and empower them. And thus, their cults established, the Dead Three, as they are now called, live on, no longer gods, but much more than mortals. Believed to be deities again, but suppressed and vulnerable under Ao's divine mandate. They exist somewhere as something in between, powerful, but also fallible and imperfect, able to fall, however unlikely, by a mortal's hand. Perhaps your hand, brave heroes. However, let this be a tale of warning, dear traveler, for when you tread in Baldur's Gate, the chill you feel is their ever watchful presence, the whispers you hear in the night, their unholy reach. Believe not the tales of their ultimate demise, stories that exist to merely scare children. They are there, in the dark corners, lurking, waiting, seeking. I hope you enjoyed this Volume 1 story primer, just a prelude of what is to come, as there exist obscure secrets in the details of this dread trio of deities we will uncover together. So please join me for Volume 2, where we will break down in exacting detail the mortal lives and quest for ascension to godhood and the cults that arose in the name of the Dead Three. And then in Volume 3, their mortal fall, a separate epic defeat for each of them, and ultimately their rise again. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links below to our Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee donation accounts. It really does help out. Plus, how about you join our community of lore sages and scholars over on Discord, completely free and starting to grow, so we'd love to see you there. And finally, if you think I earned it, please like, and subscribe. Thanks for listening, and until next time, remember, the only limitation at your table is your imagination.